so much for coming here to share with us memories of my mother, Yvonne, and I thank you all for your love. And I thank both my sisters for the beautiful stories they told, and the history, a little bit of history and feeling about who my mother, Yvonne, was. Thank you both. Mine will be a little bit shorter and a little bit of a summary because, of course, we have very similar stories about my mom. As you now know, our mother, Yvonne, had a very early life trauma. She lost her mom at the age of 6 and lost her whole family as well, because her father couldn't hold the family together due to ill health. And she lived with Mrs. Dreyer for several years and felt so lonely. And when Iris went into servitude, she told me every Wednesday when Iris could come and visit, they would sleep in the same bed and cry that they had the night together. And when they left, when Iris left on the train in the morning, they were sobbing and waving goodbye. And this is her early childhood. And this trauma was unresolved in her and it affected her entire life. Nonetheless, she persevered and had the courage to accomplish so many amazing things in her life, as you all know. The underlying stress, however, caused many health problems throughout her life and a great deal of suffering. But I don't want to talk about any of that. I'd simply like to talk about love and gratitude, about the people and things my mother loved, and about our gratitude and my personal gratitude to her. My mother, Yvonne, loved her family very, very much. She loved her husband and she loved her 3 girls. And I think she had wonderful relationships with each of us, very different, very intimate. She was a person who tried to get along with everyone, and she gave a little bit more different aspect of herself to each of us. She gave so much to our family that it's literally impossible to enumerate. She loved all of her grandchildren and had wonderful relationships with each and every one of them. And she loved her great-grandchildren, and although she couldn't see them often, she enjoyed me sharing photos and videos of them in the nursing home, and it made her smile, and it just lit her up. She only met the last great-grandchild this past June. Even though she had dementia, she was clearly thrilled to meet Roman for the first time, just before his first birthday. She loved cats, as all of you know. She actually loved all animals, and she couldn't bear to see them suffer. And for years, she gave to animal rescue and animal shelters. She loved Oliver, Sylvia, her cats, and Brandy, her Shih Tzu. And their photos adorned her nursing home room till her death. As you all know, my mother loved singing. She loved music and poetry. She loved playing the piano and was self-taught. And was self-taught, so she was so interested and so enthusiastic. But she was playing Beethoven and Mozart, all kinds of things. It wasn't just simple stuff. She just had such a desire to play and be a wonderful musician. She loved teaching young children, as all of the teachers here know. And as a school teacher, she dedicated her life to them. She loved teaching singing and directing children's choirs, as Kathleen said. And I'm just saying that in spite of trauma, my mother lived a rich and vibrant life, filled with love. Our mother loved special holidays. She loved cooking and baking, as you heard. She loved food. She loved sweets. She loved tacking Christmas decorations. She loved Easter egg hunts. And she loved fun and playful things. And she played a lot of games with us when we were little. In fact, pretty much all the children's games we learned from her, because we lived, as Kathleen said, in this beautiful garden filled with flowers, away from the trauma and the horrors of South Africa. We didn't have other children around, so my mom taught us every children's game we knew. And I remember very clearly playing these games in the garden, all 3 of us with her. We learned skipping, the hand games and all those things, because she was the one who taught us, and she was our first teacher as well. And in South Africa, they held colored children back from an education, so we couldn't start as early as you would in Canada. But my mom was a school teacher, so we all got our early education and everything that we needed. We were well prepared. My mother had lots of friends and made friends easily. And I think of all the people who loved her. So many dear friends in Canada and South Africa. All the school children who would run to her and hug her in the playground. She was little, so all the kindergarten kids could get around her waist, so she had crowds of kids around her hugging her. All the children she taught still love her, years after they had been her students, and I've met some of them at the funeral home, and people told me stories, and I was just overwhelmed at the love and memories and the impact that she's had on people. And I just found out today about someone who has a little tattoo as well, which is connected to my mother, which is overwhelming and beautiful. Thank you. And many of the nurses and the staff at the nursing home told me how much they loved her. And during her slow and difficult passing, nurses would come up to us and cry with us. They told me, we just love her, she's such a beautiful person. And of course, we will always love her. We are grateful to our mother for life itself, and for all the things she did for us. It's just too many to number. And Kevin and Julie mentioned some of them. I'm not going to go into detail, but you couldn't enumerate everything that she did for us. We're so grateful, of course, that our parents got us out of South Africa and away from the slavery of apartheid to the freedom and opportunity of Canada. And we're just thrilled to be here in Canada, being able to fulfill all of the hopes and dreams our parents had for us, and to have a chance to fulfill our lives fully. And that's why they left. They just wanted us to fulfill every dream we could have. I'm personally grateful. I'm very grateful to my mother as my first singing teacher, and to all the encouragement that I got from my parents to pursue a career as a professional opera singer. And I am personally grateful for the wonderful friendship that we shared throughout my life. And as I said to her after she passed, I said, I'm glad you're not suffering anymore, but I will really miss one of my very best friends. We always had each other's backs. She was always there for me, and I was always there for her. I am grateful to have been entrusted with her care for so many years now, and to have spent so much time with her over the last years. It's been a real gift. And as I told her as she lay dying, and I thought of all the hand-holding we've done in our lives. Her holding my hand to cross the street, or to go to school in South Africa, and me holding her hand when she was too exhausted to talk, when I visited her over the last few years. And we just sit there holding hands and watch cute kittens on YouTube, or watch great artists singing or playing piano. We shared also a love of music, and we enjoyed classical music and singers and pianists, and went to many concerts. We got to see all the great artists of the time, all the great opera singers in the 1980s, and some famous old singers as well. And it was just thrilling for us to share that kind of experience together, and the love of poetry and literature. But I thought, as I held her hand as she lay dying, about all those things that those hands had done for us. Hand washing all our diapers and clothes and everything else, because there was no washing machine. Sewing and knitting our clothes, because there was no money to buy those things. Cooking and baking so many creative birthday cakes, not just for us, but for cousins and other people. And she was just very, very creative in that way as well. Braiding our long hair year after year after year. playing the piano to accompany us, playing the piano at school, in the ceremonies in the morning, and on and on and on. Too many things to enumerate. I am grateful for your life, Mother, and for all that you did to make our lives so wonderful. And on this Thanksgiving weekend, it just feels so appropriate